Today we are in Calvary Cemetery in Lexington, Kentucky to bring you a most unique cemetery visit today. We are visiting the grave of Belle Brezing. Belle Brezing was a madam very popular within the city of Lexington, Kentucky. Not only was she popular within the city, she was nationally known. Her obituary even appeared in Time magazine. She ran what was called the most orderly of the disorderly houses. Today we visit the grave of Madam Belle Brezing. She wasn't always known as Belle Brezing. She was actually born Mary Belle Cox on June 16, 1860. Her mother, Sarah Ann Cox, married George Breazing in 1861, a saloon operator and grocer. Belle would take his last name. Belle would begin her raucous lifestyle choice at a young age, which led to a very early pregnancy. Her mother died, which essentially left her and her baby homeless. While Belle was at her mother's funeral, the landlord padlocked the home, leaving her without a home. Belle promised to always provide for her baby, and as such, she left the baby with a neighbor and turned to prostitution. Belle's first job in a brothel began in 1879 in the former home of Mary Todd Lincoln, the wife of President Abraham Lincoln. Breazing quickly became the most popular madam with bankers and politicians among her clients. In 1881, Belle would rent her own house and open her own brothel. Her daughter was moved to a home in Newport, Kentucky due to mental illness, and she remained in institutions for the remainder of her life. Belle was determined to make her establishment the top in the city. She was known to make trips to Cincinnati and even New York City to purchase furnishings for her house. Her clients were many influential businessmen, bankers, and politicians. In a nod to her popularity, after she was arrested for keeping a bawdy house, she was pardoned by the governor. Only 2 years after starting her brothel, she had enough money to buy her own house, moving the establishment with her. She would go on to buy another house in the city's red light district and would quickly establish her house as the most stylish in Lexington. Belle was also very charitable, donating supplies to a local hospital after a fire and paying for the burial of a murdered prostitute. When the Army stationed troops in Lexington during World War I, the military forced all brothels to close. This effectively retired Belle. She would remain in the house for the rest of her life. Sadly, she became addicted to morphine and was diagnosed with uterine cancer. Belle Brezing passed away on August 11th, 1940. She is buried here in Calvary Cemetery. Her obituary appeared in Time magazine. You know, when I took a look at Belle Brezing's life and actually looked more into her story, it was a little different than I thought it would be when I went to actually film the video. I knew that she was a popular madam. I knew that's what she was known for, and people in Lexington and in Kentucky still hear of her to this day and still talk about her story. I didn't realize that she went into this line of work really to take care of her daughter. I mean, that seems to me like that's the only reason she started this particular lifestyle. And you know, I never want to judge someone who's trying to take care of her kids, so I'm sure she was just a frightened young lady at the beginning of all this, and then once the money started rolling in, she was probably like, well, you know, this is a way to make a living and to keep the money rolling in. So Belle Brezing, just a great character in the history of Kentucky. I always want to make sure we look at the human side of people on my channel, and I can't help but feel sorry for that young lady who was just trying to take care of her daughter. So I'm so glad to be able to take a look at her story here in Calvary Cemetery in Lexington, Kentucky today. And this is definitely a most unique visit. I mean, she was popular in Lexington, Kentucky. Not only, like I mentioned, was her obituary ran in Time magazine, it was ran on the front page paper of the Lexington Herald Leader here in Lexington, Kentucky. So she definitely had a following. people knew who she was. So I am so glad to be able to take a look at her life and visit her grave. I am going to leave links in the description where you can find me. My Facebook page, my Instagram page, my merchandise. I would love to hear from you, so please come join me on those. I love to interact with you. Thank you once again for joining me. And from Calvary Cemetery in Lexington, Kentucky, I will see you again soon.